Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to another live session with the Hype Magazine. I'm your editor-in-chief, Jerry Doby, and today I have the distinct honor of having one of my colleagues whom I've known through the internet and email for more than 10 years. Well, no, about 10 years. Yeah, about 10 years when I first started with the Hype Magazine. He is the creator of an amazing outlet called Urban Magazine. His name is Being Original. His name is Benjamin Moody, but Being Original is a hell of a play, and he has been original the entire time that I've known him. He had a career that included The Source magazine, Double XL, AllHipHop, Vibe. Oh my God. This cat, AllHipHop, like I said, Yahoo Music, which I tried to get an assignment with Yahoo Music. As far as I could get was Yahoo Contributor Network, but I was dealing with that. So thank you for being with us, and I appreciate you.
It's my pleasure. I'm always happy to show up, you know. You're my guy. We go way back. We go way, way back. So
way back. People don't understand.
Anytime you need me, I'm here.
I appreciate you. So look, man, from the inside looking out, you know, you're a journalist, you're a thought leader, you're very how should I say, forward and on social media, very forward on social media with what you're thinking and how you see things, and you think things really clear. But from the inside looking out, talk to us about being original.
Well, Being Original is a pseudonym I came up with a while ago. You know, I would say probably going way back to my college days, because I always wanted, you know, I came up when people, you know, when hip hop, of course, and everybody had a name and everything. And, you know, I won't go into all the names before that one, but that was the one that stuck for the last almost 30 years. So I like it, you know, because it describes what I believe in as far as being original. It's like a state of being, to always try to embrace and truly be myself in everything that I do. I don't want to write like anyone else. I don't want to produce music like anyone else. I don't want to do art like anyone else. I always wanted to be myself, because I think that there's value into embracing the unique self.
Okay. Now you started out with a newsletter in New York called New York Underground. Right. That was your first foray into journalism. I understand it. Right. And then you were interning for, I never heard of Stress magazine, but I suppose it's a New York magazine. Is it defunct now, or is it still going?
It's defunct. It was out. It was like a 90s thing. Stress magazine was one of the first magazines to cover Jay-Z, to give Jay-Z a cover. You know, so they go way back. They were based in Queens. A real hip hop, a real like authentic New York hip hop magazine that focused on music and culture. You know, a lot of times when people hear hip hop, they only think about the music. They don't think about the fact that it goes beyond that. I mean, hip hop is primarily Black culture, you know, because of the slave trade, because of all these things that happened. We, as African Americans, we were disconnected from the motherland. So in many ways, we created our own culture here in America. And hip hop is Black culture. You know, it started in New York, and now it's all over the place. It's all over the world. But it's something that we brought into being. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Now, we know it's Black culture, but we can't forget the Latino brothers and sisters that were also a part of the early foray into creating this culture. Though they weren't, you know, obviously it didn't, till Cool Herc, you know, did his thing. DJ Red Alert did their things.
Oh,
it wasn't hip hop.
Well, when I say Black culture, that was at a time when pretty much they considered that if you weren't white, you were Black. So, you know,
okay.
It was a thing. It was a time when, you know, people like how they say people of color.
Right.
It was the time then, if you were, at least in New York, if you were Puerto Rican or any of these things, you were considered black, at least as far as black people went.
Okay.
We didn't really, I don't believe as a culture, we embraced everybody. You didn't have to necessarily be African American, but you have to buy into black culture.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, there's a lot of people from all sorts of cultures that contribute to hip hop. I mean, like the call in, the call outs and everything that comes from Jamaican culture.
Right.
So, we all played a part here in New York.
Right. New York was, I wish, I'm jealous of those who came up with hip hop during that time in New York, in the birthplace, you know what I mean? And shout out to the Universal Hip Hop Museum, which is going to open down there in the Bronx? Is it the Bronx?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And what they're doing. And I would have loved to at least been a fly on the wall in New York to see this develop, you know what I mean? Such an amazing thing. And so with that being said, you started New York Underground, and then you had a fateful call that launched you into another phase on the mainstream side, doing a piece for The Source with Ludacris.
Yes.
Talk to us about that experience.
Oh, it was phenomenal. It goes to show that if you put in the work, your name will get out there. What happened is that I had been writing for Stress for a couple of months. But at the time, I was faxing my resume and stuff over to The Source like on a day-to-day basis, And what happened is that, I just built some rapport with Aaliyah S. King. And I also had this publicist, Simone Smalls, who, I always believed in covering artists regardless of stature. Like there's some people that would, pick and choose who they wrote about or whatever. They always want the best look. But sometimes, I've learned throughout my experience that it's, you show everybody the love,
right.
And, she put in a good cosign for me with Aaliyah. And, I had reached out to Aaliyah, like not even trying to social climb or anything, but just to, I read her article. I believe at the time Lady Luck was an unsigned artist back then. And, I just used to, congratulate people on their pieces and clap for them. And one day somebody dropped the ball, and out of nowhere, Aaliyah got my number from Simone. And she called me up and she was like, yo, listen, we need somebody to do this Ludacris interview in the next 5-10 minutes, man. And I was like, oh, okay, I got you. And it's been on and popping ever since then. So,
wow.
It was a great experience, man. And, it just shows that, I still remain grateful to the people. I don't say humble because I believe humble is a social construct for the comfort of others at your own expense. So I say grateful. Every time I talk to Aaliyah or talk to Simone, I still thank them to this day. Some 20-something years later, I still reach out to them to this day to thank them for that look. Because it's very rare, like throughout my entire career, I've never had to fill out an application. I've never had to apply for a job. I've never had to, my name got out there, and it's, these people, they did something that they didn't have to do. So I remain grateful for that.
Okay. I like that. I never heard of, anyone describe being humble as a social construct at your own expense, where you give thanks to people at your own expense. I'm like, okay, I like that. But no, then you've always had some wise things to say. I love it.
I mean, I believe in being gracious. I definitely believe in being gracious, but usually the way the word humble is used, and at least in, our current vernacular, I think that it implies making other people comfortable. Like if somebody tells you, you need to be humble, that's because they're intimidated usually, or they want you to lower yourself so for them to feel good around you. You know, I don't believe in that. I believe that if you're great, you know, you can't recognize the greatness in others until you recognize it in yourself.
Man,
You know,
I had to wake up to one day. My wife kept telling me, you're always selling yourself short. You're always selling yourself short. Even though I think now I was doing great work. I'm like, you know what? It's okay to be great and say, you know what? I am great at what I do. And, you know, I don't have to bow down to anybody. So I love that. I love the way you put it.
Yeah, I try to encourage that, you know, into my people, my team, you know, the writers around me. I try to encourage that because, you know, one thing that I believe in is that it's okay to embrace. I don't know. Is this like a PG interview or what?
Oh no, say what you got to say.
Well, listen, in life, right? The reality of life, I know we don't often say these things, but the reality of life is, yes, sometimes we are better than some motherfuckers out here. We are. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm better than a pimp on the block. I think my morals make me better. I think I'm morally superior than that. You know, I'm morally superior than some fuck boy around the corner. These things are undisputed, and I think there's nothing wrong with saying that and embracing that. You know, I'm not, now listen. If we ever play basketball, Jerry, I'll let you know I suck. I'm not great at basketball.
That's terrible. 2 of us.
I'm the worst. Like, don't depend on me to win. Like,
I'm the worst. I cannot play ball, man. Baseball, I can play. Football, I can play. Basketball, no.
No, but you know what? By embracing the things that we're great at, we can still get out there in the court and have fun.
Yeah.
Because we know that, hey, you're not going to be great at everything we do.
Yeah.
You know, but there's nothing wrong with embracing your greatness. There's nothing wrong.
Well, you have a great outlet. Urban Magazine is a great outlet. It's developed over the years. You stepped out. What was the defining moment for you that made you step out?
Well, I think when I wrote for The Source right before right at the beginning when their whole campaign went against Eminem. And when I just thought about it and I was like, you know what? I want to do my own thing, you know? I mean, I still went on and contributed to others, but I want to have my own voice. You know, if I don't agree with something, I want to have my own platform where I can say what I want. And Urban allows me to do that. It allows me to control the content. Ownership has privileges, you know? And I think that in this world, especially as a Black man, we need to own things, you know? Don't get me wrong, making 70 cents to $1 a word is nothing to sneeze at. Right. But I think that, you know, the freedom that you have, wanting my son to see that I own something, you know, and to build a brand, you know, like the brand that you built with Hype Magazine. It's the same, you know what it's like, bro. You know what it's like.
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's them 18-hour days and, 200 emails a day and people telling you no. I remember, when I've only been with Hype for 12 or 10 years. We've celebrated our 20th in June 5th, actually. But when I first came on, Hype was not at the level where people would even give us interviews. We were really the voice of the streets because that's who would talk to us. And, getting, major interviews. A lot of that some of it had happened before I came on, but a lot of it didn't happen until after I came on,
right.
when I brought my style. And I was just coming out of the military. So I was aggressive and wanted an opportunity. And this was like, I could go to Forbes or I could go to, Hype. And Hype gave me the best opportunity to be myself. So I think that was important to me. I guess that's equally what was important to you was be able to be yourself.
Right.
Write the content and without the gossip and the bullshit.
Right. When I got the chance to, when I try to be responsible with my pen in the sense of if urban, we don't run with a trending story just simply because it's trending. I try to be careful and despite what it might look on my Facebook, I try to be very careful. Everything is you should see the stuff I don't post. But I try to be responsible, culturally responsible, and to where how I use my platform. If I give somebody, if I draft a hit piece, they deserve it. I try not to do anything that I'm gonna feel bad about or I'm gonna have to apologize for.
Mm.
And I think that's the freedom when you run your own platform, or when you get the freedom when you're empowered in that way. That it's better than money.
Okay. So you're not only online, but you've got digital issues as well. Now,
Yes.
is that print on demand as well, or is that?
No, we completely digital because of the thickness of the magazine. I mean, the average issue of Urban is close to 90 to 100 pages. So if print on demand is going to cost you a grip.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be honest with you, I have yet to buy an issue through print on demand, and I own. So I just can't see paying $50 for it. I just can't see when I have like two phones, iPad Pro, a MacBook, I got a desktop, I got computers all over the place where I could just read the issue anytime I want to.
Right. Okay.
I
Yeah,
like
we were doing print on demand too, but I'm like, when we were blocking at 64. I'm like, look, we're not going over 64 because this is $17.
right.
Those years ago, it was $17 those years ago. Now it's going to be, an exorbitant amount of money. So I didn't mean to cut you off though. Go ahead, your thought.
No, I agree with you. It's a math game. I wanted to make sure that the magazine, I cared about the reach, and knowing that right now we're on 3 digital newsstands, plus we got the Apple Plus channel. I just wanted to make sure that, people can have access to it. And, fortunately, I brought on Dakari Eli about 4 or 5 years ago. And, the digital issues have a solid fan base, solid readership. And the people like what we're doing, which is great, because I like the fact that, again, that
We lost your light.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Sorry.
There
Okay. Yeah. So, I like the fact that we have control over it. And as far as the editorial content, to pick and choose, to have the power of choice is a beautiful thing,
Talk to me about digital newsstands. That's something new for me.
Well, the digital newsstands allow the magazine to travel. I drop an issue, I could publish an issue right now, and within 15 minutes, that issue is available all across the world at the same time.
Mm.
If I want to change it, if I want to change something, I could go in there and upload it and make a change in a matter of minutes. And it gives me a lot of flexibility. Plus, as far as advertising, I can link videos, I can link any kind of digital content to it, embed music, and let's say we do the ad for Drake. I can put Drake Apple Play, link it directly to the ad. So you go right from Urban Magazine straight into whatever your streaming platform you use. So, it gives you a lot of flexibility. It's the future.
I'm over here making notes, digital newsstand.
Yeah, it's definitely the future. And, considering how much everything costs with paper and all that stuff, I mean, we're in a time where information changes rapidly.
Right.
So, I can make sure that if I include a news piece in the magazine, I can make sure that right up until minutes before publishing, that the article is updated with the latest information.
Okay.
You know, I love it. I'm never going back to paper. So
Ha! Okay. Okay.
people
Hey.
people have asked me, and I was like, why do that? That's like going to ask the record labels, hey, you wanna put out CDs again? No.
Yeah. Hell no. I we get pressured. Everybody knows the amazing John Blassingame. He is like one of the major Black magazine consultants, and he's put a lot of people on newsstands, and he wants us to go back to print. I'm like, brother, it's not happening. You know what I mean?
I talked to John. In fact, the first, I would say the first time I put out Urban, I put it out in paper in 2005.
Okay.
We even had a what you call it. We even had a launch party, and John came out to my party.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I have John's number now. I could call John anytime for advice or anything. I kind of like to do my own thing, but if I need to, I can reach out to him. And
Yeah.
yeah, John came out to my party and everything, and it was a great relationship, great relationship.
Amazing.
But I ain't doing paper. I'm not doing.
Yeah. Yeah. We're like, we're not going back. That's why when you mentioned digital newsstands, I was like, okay, I'm gonna explore that, Jack, because
Digital news, digital newsstands is where it's at. It's the future.
Okay. 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 Um, you've had quite a few impact covers on Urban. What, Alicia Keys, you got Lorenz, Cranium, whom I absolutely love. The music, I think we've done pieces on them, but I've never had them, you know what I mean, as a major feature. Do you have a couple of favorites, cover stories that you did impact covers?
One of my favorite ones was the one. I want to make sure I pronounce the guy who's right. The guy who was running in, because so many times this stuff happens that there's so many people who are victim of police brutality or murder by police. But the guy that was jogging in Georgia, who was killed,
Aubrey, Maud Aubrey.
right? And on the stop fucking killing us is that cover is my favorite cover, one of my favorite covers. There's so many though, because we have like special issues where we put out the issue on domestic violence. And that's a very powerful cover shot by this photographer named Shaz out of Jamaica. It's just trying, there's so many, there's so many covers. I like them all, I don't want to make it where I pick one over the other because
Those are your babies.
yeah, those, but I definitely, what I love about it though is that I have great relationships within the entertainment industries and sports industry and stuff like that. So a lot of people make themselves available to me, and I'm glad that I was able, when our time on this plane is gone, all we have left is the work we leave behind. And I've given multiple celebrities their first covers. Some of these actors, especially actors, some of these actors that you have seen on television for years, I've given them their first covers. And I'm so proud of it. I'm proud to be a part of their history as well.
It's pretty big. Speaking of satisfaction, like, what is the biggest satisfaction for you as a publisher, as a journalist yourself? What is the biggest satisfaction when you finish the story, you put the last period in or punctuation, you've gone through the red line, you deliver the story, and then you wait?
Well, I think the biggest satisfaction is when seeing the response from the people and knowing that my style of editorial coverage resonates with them. That's the satisfaction. I mean, honestly, I'm pretty sure you could agree. Once I publish an issue, I'm never reading that issue ever again.
Yeah.
I'm,
100%.
I'm over it. I'm completely over it by the time it's published. But I just feel like I have cultivated some great relationships, some great friendships. I don't want to name some of the people, but
I
that are
understand.
in real life that they're my people. I can hit them up anytime, and knowing that that it runs deep. I was on to Rhapsody, way before she became a mainstream brand. There's like my homie Gel Bean is out there doing her thing on P Valley now. You know, that's a friendship that transcends a lot of time. And I just want to try to make sure that everything I do is part of my legacy. I don't want to put out anything that I'm gonna regret later. You know, so the satisfaction comes from the people, because without the people, you could create the product, but if the people aren't checking for it, then it doesn't work. I love that the fact that I have people that consistently share and support and show love. It's a beautiful thing to know that this is something that I brought into being. It's my baby.
Yeah, big satisfaction. Um, we're in a new day and age of so-called journalism.
Mm.
Do we want to go there?
Yeah, no, I'm not scared.
Okay. Okay. So it's either gossip, beef, or bullshit a lot of times.
Yeah, man, and there's there's things that like I know that there's some of my peers, some of our peers, they how they run their media outlet. I can only say it couldn't be me, but I respect the hustle of it. But I think that, like, for me, I think that it comes at what cost? At what cost? And I think like you mentioned that early in the beginning of hype, towards the beginning of your run at hype, of artists and stuff that you know you have to build a brand to you have to build the brand and have content to get content.
Right.
And I think that I don't understand why some of these artists talk to some of these platforms when they know that if they make a slight mistake, or anytime they could get a quick boost of clicks, they're gonna throw them under the bus. So I don't understand why the artists keep going back to the same platforms that shit on them over.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that, yeah, you're right. These get, and what's sad is that people confuse these people with journalism, and it's not they're not journalists, they're bloggers. They're giving you an opinion or a take on something without necessarily having done the research or at all. They're telling you how they feel, and it comes across like, just because they have a platform, I think sometimes the consumers believe that these people are experts or educated in the matter at hand, and they're not. These are these people, this could be the guy standing out there on the corner in front of the bodega, just going online and giving you his thoughts without any form of fair and balance, not to hijack Fox News, but to give any form of real fair and balanced coverage. It's sickening how it's sickening at times how far they'll go to do it. Like I've seen some articles where I'm like, yo, I wonder how they live to themselves, but I think that's the problem. That is the problem with the culture becoming mainstream. They're not a lot of these entities are not in love with the culture. They're profiteering from the culture, which is two totally different things.
Indeed.
And some might say that just because some of these people might look like us, that, okay, well, the white man has been making money off the culture for X number of years. It's time for a Black person to do it, but we're supposed to know better.
We have to do it with journalistic integrity.
Absolutely. They cut the part out of the interview. I did an interview at Hot 97 a few years ago, and they cut that part where I said, because I mentioned that a lot of these platforms that contribute to the culture, they're not owned by people who are part of the culture. They're not.
Get them. Fuck you, Adam. Glad.
So their vested interests are not aligned with the best interests of the culture. Right. Their thing is to fill their pockets. So one of those publications, like if we go out on the block right now and we'd be like, yo, Double XL is not owned by Black people, right? You do know that, right? They'll be like, nah, they don't know. The average consumer doesn't know that. So even though it was invented and created by a Black person, but they do whatever they need to do to protect their bottom line, which is why that freshman list looks like it looks. But they don't want to talk about that, though. They don't want to talk about that. If you were to be like, yo, listen, I would like to what do they call it? Audit. I would like to audit who's buying the ads and who's artists on the freshman list. It might be some weird coincidences going on out there.
Bro, I have to speak up on a piece of disappointment. Because of the we're now in the digital age and things like that, and obviously Urban and Hype have done their part to change what used to be the e-zine, now what it used to be called the e-zine, to the digital focus, where now that Rolling Stone and Forbes and GQ are doing digital issues. And some of the hip hop journalistic stalwarts, I won't even call his name, but will write some bullshit, excuse my language, about us artists being the best rapper alive.
Absolutely. I've seen those lists.
Bruh, but a digital cover on GQ, you sell out for a digital cover on GQ.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. And when I saw that cover, I was like,
bruh,
he's not even the best rapper in his city.
Thank you.
Oh man, and to that particular journalist or blogger or whatever he's doing these days, he went for the brand shine. It's like Deion Sanders used to say, it must be the money.
Bro, he went for that brand shine. His first GQ cover, right? But he writes some nonsense like that, a headline like that. Maybe he wasn't in charge of his headline. Maybe there was an editor, that was in charge of the headline.
Listen, sometimes, there's a frame of thought that goes way back to, I want to say Frederick Douglass. Way back to Frederick Douglass, that of what it means to assimilate. For some people, the Kool-Aid must be mighty sweet. That's all I can say on that, because
you got diabetes on that.
I'm not doing at any price. I'm not doing that. I think that, I look at that particular writer. I've known him for years. I don't know him personally, because I don't think I could really rock with somebody personally that would do something like that. Like, we couldn't really be boys, and you do something like that, or you're going to hear my mouth about it.
You're definitely going to hear my mouth about it. I I
Like,
lightly lambasted him, and I've never met him.
yeah, I don't see how you can honestly come to that conclusion. I don't see. I can name 20 rappers that are way better rappers than him.
Yeah.
I mean, Andre 3000 ain't dead.
No.
Big Boy ain't dead. I'm talking about the ones in his own neighborhood, in his own city.
Right.
You know, T.I. is not dead. You know, Ludacris is not dead. There's plenty of people. There's plenty of people who are who have been better rappers for far longer.
Right. Right.
You know that like, oh man, I think that particular artist is probably one of the worst rappers that I've heard. And like I have never sat down listening to music and said, I'm gonna say his name. I ain't never sat down listening to music and say, yo, what the Future got a new album out? I've never done that.
Hey,
And I understand that everything is not. I understand that everything is not for everybody, right?
Right.
And I'm sure he got fans that would say, oh, "Okay, your old gray beard, you know, it's cool," and that's cool. That's cool. But I don't even think by generational metrics that there's a abundance of people, a majority of people in hip hop that would agree with that.
Right.
No, it's trash. It's that. But I you know,
we're at 60 seconds though, brother.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have to come back and do another segment. Will you come back again?
Oh, of course I would.
Oh, absolutely. We'll schedule it. All
right.
in 60 seconds, leave us with something.
Well, I will leave you with this. Future is not the greatest rapper alive. Period. Not even close.
Go check out my man. Go check out my man being original. Urban Magazine. It is the joint. Give him the website, give him the socials, and we're gonna schedule a comeback.
All right, no doubt. You could visit, learn more about Urban Magazine, visit urbanmag-online.com. You could Google it. We're at the top. Urban Magazine is the top Urban Magazine brand that's out there. When you type in Urban Magazine, we're the first thing that come up. You can check out our digital issues on Jumag, on Maxter, on Issue, on Apple News. You know, and before we get cut off, I want to thank you again